Some spiritual gurus, and let's be honest, this colonialist society we live in, will have you believing that experiencing and utilizing rage is dangerous, that it's somehow unspiritual or too low vibrational, and that you have to quickly transmute it and turn it into love and light, that it somehow falls out of bounds with what it means to be spiritual or in alignment or vibrating at the frequency of love. But what they won't tell you is this: rage is sacred and rage is divine, especially when it's used as fuel to awaken you to the truth, to demand better, to walk away from toxic cycles of abuse, manipulation, and powerlessness, and to step into your full sovereignty as a divine being, especially when it rises to defend your boundaries, your spirit, and your truth. In fact, sacred rage, when channeled with clarity, is a gateway to a higher calling. It's the soul's alarm system that says, something is not right here, something needs to change. This behavior, this dynamic, this disrespect will no longer be tolerated or accepted. You see, there comes a point where you can no longer bypass the moment where just feel it to heal it, or love, forgive, and let go doesn't hit the same, because you've done that already. You've saged it, you've cleansed it, you've wept over it, and yet the same people keep coming back over and over to use and abuse you. And yet the same people, patterns, and pain keep returning over and over again. You don't need more love and light to heal. You need to embrace your sacred rage as a tower moment, a judgment card moment, an awakening fire that burns down the old contracts and karmic cycles and loops. This rage doesn't ask you to destroy others. It invites you to finally say, enough is enough. You deserve more. You are more. It invites you to rebuild yourself. Just like the Justice card in the tarot, sacred rage is a moment of reckoning. It's the pause where truth is weighed, actions are evaluated, and standards are set. And from that comes clarity. Temperance, not as forced peace, but as balance restored as truth. Or like from the Tower card, when things must be lit and burned down to the ground in order for things to come to light and for things to be healed. And chaos must ensue before the star moment of healing, restoration, renewal, and hope. In the divine feminine pantheon, Kali does not apologize for her destruction. She clears away what no longer serves. Sekhmet does not apologize for her fierceness. She purifies the land and makes way for what nourishes and replenishes. And it is only after all that Isis and Ma'at can truly restore balance, bring in prosperity, love, joy, and abundance. You cannot skip this part of the journey. It is a sacred part of the mythology, and many times we try to overjump it or skip through it or blaze through it in order to receive peace. This is a critical juncture, not just for you, but for the collective as well. In this heroine/hero's journey, you get to set the tone. You set what you will accept and won't accept. And you set the standard for how you are to be treated in love, in business, in friendships, and in life. And in this era, people come correct or not at all. This is the energy of Kali, Sekhmet, and Oya. They weren't here to be docile and as pushovers. They were here to cleanse, clear, and destroy illusions and reset the scales. This is the Justice and Tower cards that make way for temperance and the world to be had and experienced in our journeys. This is a lioness that growls loudly, proudly, and fiercely before the field is made sacred again for harvest and renewal. Kali doesn't show up when everything's all nice and sweet. She shows up when the illusion must fall. When your soul says, no more sis, or no more sir, and when the spell of self-abandonment must finally be broken. Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of healing and war, shows us that these two energies are not in opposition, but in harmony, and both are necessary for a life to truly be lived, for a divinity to truly be stepped into. These two energetic forces are actually in balance, and that's why it's super important to embrace your rage. She destroys what is no longer in service, so your true self can rise. And when that inner temple is clear, Ma'at can enter, full of justice, harmony, balance, sacred, and truth. But the thing is, you don't get to Ma'at without first going through Sekhmet. You don't get to heaven without first walking through fire, especially in this fallen world that we live in. Welcome back, Mosaic Souls. Welcome to Soul Nugget Sunday. So I hope that you enjoyed that intro. I really wanted to bring to you a really powerful Soul Nugget Sunday, all about really understanding the power of sacred rage, and sacred rage really being leading you to embodying your sovereignty, right? And embodying who you really are, right? So the thing is that I wanted to expand upon that intro is understanding that you don't really need more love and light especially when you feel stuck in your life around a certain issue, especially when there's been a violation or something. You don't need to bypass your pain with affirmations, and you don't need to sit in a lotus position pretending that you're not furious or heartbroken or fed up. Oftentimes in our colonialist society, we've been trained to be docile. We've been trained to fall in line out of, just societal structures trying to keep everything in line, but also it's a way of mind control. And so what I'm inviting you to do is to let that sacred rage rise like fire inside of you, right? Not to burn others down, and to scorch the earth, right? But to burn down the lies, the illusions, and the karmic contracts you didn't really consciously agree to. Let me make sure you can hear me. Okay. So this is really all about a tower moment, right? Like in the tarot, the kind that clears the old foundations to make way for the truth. And this is also like the judgment card, awakening, right? A call to rise and answer your higher self. You probably heard things like, you need to just feel it to heal it, or forgive and let go. And even though those are sacred truths and a part of the journey, they're not the whole story. They're only a part of the story. You have been feeling it at this point. Maybe you have been trying to forgive, or maybe you have been letting it go, and yet you're still attracting users or abusers. Maybe you're still being dismissed, disrespected, or gaslit, or maybe you're still giving more than you actually get. Why is this happening, right? Because you've been told to suppress your shadow, because no one really taught you how to wield your fire without burning yourself or others. This is more than just healing. This is really about reclaiming your total power. This is about reclaiming your sovereignty and your divinity and all aspects of your divinity, right? This is about embracing your shadow and your dark feminine energy, not demonizing it. Too often we're taught to demonize these aspects of us. But when you don't, you actually get to a place of stagnation, and you don't let that energy flow and be transformed into more energy, into a solution rather, right? So not to curse or seek or revenge, but to love yourself more fiercely, right? To set higher standards, to communicate with clarity, to embody worth with your worth without apology, right? That is what these goddesses and deities can remind us. So this is the divine integration of both feminine and masculine energies, regardless of whatever gender or identity you identify as, to build a world that reflects your divinity, right? That's what this whole game is about. So where your peace is protected, where your power is embodied, and where your soul reigns sovereign. This is the path of Ma'at, justice, truth, and balance, right? We have the justice, truth, and balance, right? The path of Sekhmet and Kali, sacred protectors, destruction bringers, life givers, and fierce lovers of truth. The path of these divine archetypes reclaiming their thrones within you, my friend. So you can use your sacred rage to deify yourself with more grace, to set higher standards of how you show up and how others are allowed to show up in your world as well. And to stop settling for breadcrumbs instead, and to demand divine partnerships in all areas of your life, to cultivate communication and boundaries that flow from your divine feminine and divine masculine with power, no matter what your gender or identity is, because we each have divine feminine and masculine energies within us. So this world is not really redeemed by people pleasers or just letting people roll over you. It's redeemed by those who have the courage to call out what's broken and to rebuild something divine. So the end of the moral of the story really is that you can't truly forgive what you haven't fully felt, right? You can't heal what you refuse to name or keep brushing it under a rug. And you can't create something new if you haven't acknowledged what your unhealed wounds unconsciously created before. So this is where so many of us get stuck, trying to bypass the dark in order to be good, in order to be healed, in order to be light, enlightened, love and light, you know. and it's perfectly fine. That's a part of the journey, but we have to embrace this dark shadow aspect of myself. And I've talked about this extensively. I will link a playlist above here or below in the comments if I remember afterwards, so that you can check out a lot of what I talked about with shadow work, the shadow work series that I kind of talked about through last year. But this is where many of us really get stuck, because we're trying to bypass the dark in order to be good. And the dark really isn't your enemy. It's really the womb of your beginning. It's the womb of your sacred divinity, sovereignty, right? And so the sting of that violation is what really shows you your boundary. When someone crosses a boundary, it feels like a violation. And so that lets you know, oh, wait, something is touchy here, and I need to assert, you know, and hold forth not necessarily just a boundary, but a standard of how you operate and how you let others operate within your space as well, right? So you can just call it a boundary, right? And the fire of rage is what really shows you your worth, right? There's nothing like rage and anger for it's like that inner goddess within you saying, no, I deserve to XYZ fill in the blank. I deserve to have, I deserve to be, I deserve to express, whatever that is, right? And so the shadow is really not here to shame you. It's here to make you whole, right? So because without the dark, the light really means nothing. Without death, there is no rebirth. And without shadow integration, you'll keep cycling through relationships, you know, beliefs and patterns, and leave you feeling fragmented or hollow. And when you honor both your light and your dark, that's when you really begin to operate from true wholeness. That's when you embody divine balance. And that's when your creations and your boundaries, your relationships, your art, your truth, etc., your families become sacred reflections of your integrated soul. And so that's really why I wrote my song called Come Correct. It's the basis behind the undertone behind the song. This is what Come Correct is all about. It's more than just a song. It's really a reclamation.
Men be out here wildin', saying they'll do one thing, but they know that they be lying. Some don't even get how to body masculine energy. Out here wanting me to hustle and be laid up in these streets. I used to melt over dudes who pay me special attention. Didn't really know my worth until they showed me how to hate them. Be intrigued and wrapped up in my goddess energy. Then turn around, manipulate, lie, steal, and cheat. Really? Come the right way. Cause if you don't come correct, you're gonna get cut off. Chase, man, that goes against natural order, but little did I know I was clearing up some karma. Now I'm resting in my feminine, not worried about the time, cause my king is on his waist, so I don't have to wait in line. Now ladies, stay gracious, stay loving, stay patient. You don't have to settle for breadcrumbs. These fickle men be wasting. You're a goddess queen. Let's stand in that true formation where we lifting up humanity to rebuild a Nubian nation. I've been uncovering secrets that's been saved throughout all time, and gotta bow my ancestors to hear my bloodline. Since we could harness our divinity and create harmony from set, it's time to use our feminine power. It's time to respect yourself. Hey. You're gonna get cut off, yeah. Let's talk.
Cool. So I really hope you enjoy that song. And if you are feeling the song, definitely visit me at rachelalexander.com/come to grab the song for free. I'll go ahead and plop that in the chat for those of you who are watching or watching the replay who are like, how do I get my hands on that song? I created a divine self-activation workbook that you can get for free that comes with the song if that is something that interests you. So check it out. Place that. It's also in the link in the description box below. Cool. So I really wanted to do sort of like a deep dive behind why I created the song, more so the lyrics and how it's related to embracing your divine rage, right? And embracing the dark aspects of you. And so, let's see. So let's go deeper into the lyrics of my song Come Correct, because every word was written as sort of a transmission, a remembering, a reminder, and sort of like a realignment to helping you remember who you truly are. So the chorus sings, come in the right way, because if you don't come correct, you're going to get cut off. And to me, that really embodies that sort of Kali energy, right? Where she's just killing left and right, and without apology. So this isn't just about romantic relationships, even though that's the overtone in the song. It's really about setting or having a universal boundary. It's like a decree, right? It's the standard we're setting for every connection, every opportunity, and every energy we allow into our lives, right? So it's really not just a chorus, but it's like a life policy, right? It's like, if you don't come correct, you're going to get cut off, or you're going to be very limited. Your energy is going to be very limited in my space. And this is the voice of the goddess standing at the gates of her queendom, or a god at his kingdom, saying, if it's not sacred, it's not aligned, and it doesn't get access. So this song is sort of an anthem to that. It's the clarion call to like the collective. You either rise up and meet me, or you get left behind. So let's break down what each of the verses really mean. So the first verse is like, it starts out, these men be out here wilding. And then it kind of goes into, then turn around, manipulate, lie, steal, and cheat. So this is where we're like calling out the wound, where we call out like the performative masculine, the one who wants goddess energy without embodying the divine masculine in this case. But it could be either like, it's not really gender specific, but it's just that energy, right? And it's the part where many of us, especially women and femmes, have given our magic away for crumbs or for very little. But this verse ends with an awakening, the realization that it's not them who define your worth, it's you. You're the one who is worthy, and you're the one who gets to define who you truly are and what you represent in the world, which is a divine sovereign being. But you have to awaken to this truth, right? Because you're the one creating your reality, right? So this verse is really a raw truth telling. It calls out the dysfunction we've normalized, like being love bombed or manipulated and expected to overperform while being underappreciated, right? It's about being expected to give queen energy to people offering court jester behavior, right? When you think about the different, I have my tarot deck here. I'm like thinking of the queens here, if I can find the empress real quick. But it's about that, embodying the queen energy, and no longer, well, I'll just show you, the queen, this is a queen of pentacles, right? But it's like embodying the queen energy and no longer allowing people who are in this page energy to approach you, right? And it's nothing wrong with those people. It's just recognizing what you deserve, right? So it highlights how awakening to our worth often happens through contrast, like I talked about before. It's having that yin and that yang, that dark and that light. It helps you to see that violation, helps you to assert a boundary, right? That rage, it helps you to really start to know your worth, right? So we see who we truly are through what we will no longer accept. And this verse is sort of the spark of that, the moment where awareness begins to lead to sovereignty, right? And so in verse 2, I say, I used to chase men, and then I go into, now I'm resting in my feminine. And here the transformation sort of begins. It's the pain alchemizes into wisdom. This is like the shift from chasing to magnetizing, from wounded feminine to rested, rooted, divine feminine, right? It's about ancestral healing, right? Which I kind of talk about in the song. Recognizing that our patterns were not born with us, right? That we have the power to end them with us. And so this verse invites us to remember our role as healers, as teachers, and as creators of new systems rooted in truth, self-respect, and divine partnership, right? This is the rise, right? Where we stop trying to force alignment and instead allow what is for us to come to us, right? It's a reminder to stay gracious, stay loving, and stay patient. Like, you don't have to settle for breadcrumbs, and you don't have to go out and slay the world to get what you want, not because we're passive, but because we are powerful enough to magnetize, to attract, enough to choose enough to choose peace over performance, right? And this verse really speaks to ancestral healing, which I really enjoy writing, because it helps you to realize that you're not just healing for yourself, but you're also healing for your bloodline, right? This is where we don't realize that when we're healing, and we're healing for generations to come. So if you have children and you pass on things, you can pass on a healthy blueprint rather than this sort of broken, fragmented blueprint that many of us are starting to pick up the pieces from in our generation, right? And with that healing, we create what, is known as the Nubian nation of wholeness, not war. And so the third verse goes in and starts off with, let's talk about the culture, right? And this is where sacred rage turns outward, and where we look at how systems of oppression have broken us down, where the divine masculine and feminine have been pitted against each other, and how that divide is keeping us from building generational wealth and divine legacy, right? It's a reminder that we are stronger together, but we only get to experience that when we've done the inner work, right? Only when we truly stop mimicking the colonizers' systems and start building new blueprints rooted in truth and our ancient wisdom, right? In love and protection and balance. This is where the sacred rage expands from personal to the collective and starts to create a healing sort of incubator, right? For us to really start to see what needs to be looked at and healed. And it really speaks to the spiritual warfare of the melanated, that's on the melanated family, right? The systemic, generational, and intentional breaking down of our unity as a people, right? So this verse reminds us, and just Black and brown people all over the planet, right? This verse really reminds us that the path back to harmony isn't through ego or isolation or independent baddie culture, right? It's through healing, right? Through reconnection and rebuilding that sacred masculine and feminine balance. And it calls us to remember our original blueprint, which includes unity, power, and legacy. Right? So that's just sort of a breakdown of each of the verse and the undertones through which the message was channeled through me. And so Come Correct isn't just a song, it's a soundtrack for your boundaries, a devotional for your worth, and a call to rise in your sacred rage and use the fire to cut away the illusions, to burn the karmic contracts and karmic loops, right? And to step into your divine assignment, right? So Come Correct is more than just music. It's a mirror, it's a sword, a compass, and really medicine. So it reminds you that you really don't need to shrink rather, or settle or suppress your divine fire, because that divine fire within you is sacred, and it's what helps you to make decisions from a place of power and create from a place of empowerment rather than fragmented hollowness, right? So if you're really resonating with this, then definitely get the full song and free self-worth workbook below. Link in the description box below. And I think I already put it in the chat. I'll put it there again for those of you who are joining me live. And claim the free, workbook to do the work, right? It's time to remember who, TF you really are, right? And to come home and to the truth of who you are and utilize that divine fire, that sacred rage that is innate within you as a tool rather than suppressing it, right? And it's time to come correct within yourself and in every connection. So here is what I want to invite you to do. Watch the visual, go back and watch this if you're joining me live, and finish watching and understand how I break down why sacred rage is so powerful, and really let the message sink in. Download the full song and the self-worth and activation and workbook I created to go along. It's at that link in the description box below or in the chat if you're joining me live, and it's completely free. And take a moment to journal, reflect, and declare what you are no longer tolerating. I really would love to know. Feel free to visit me at Divine Earth School at TikTok or Instagram and tag me and let me know how the workbook and the song actually hit and settled in for you. And then share this with someone else who needs permission, who needs a permission slip to come correct within themselves and in their relationship. So I hope that this resonated. And as always, flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you've come to explore and experience while on this planet. So remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive. What you expect is what you'll get. And however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and definitely check me out at rachelalexander.com/come to get your free song and workbook activation. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will chat with you when I chat with you next time. Peace, love, and light.